What is going on, guys? We are back on another realistic style rebuild on Madden 22, and today it is of the Chicago Bears, a team that is easily in Madden a bottom 3 roster, and in real life, depending on what guys like Davis Mills and Carson Wentz do, maybe the worst team in the entire league. I know it's kind of crazy to think, but this Bears team truly is depleted. Obviously, losing guys like Hicks, losing guys like Khalil Mack. I'm not going to say Allen Robinson because honestly, the way I get it, the Bears roster building, the way they're playing was kind of pitiful, but the way Allen Robinson kind of played last season was really just truly disrespectful to the entire sport. But I mean, I guess if it's not going to get media, proper media attention for him just literally not caring, whatever, I guess. But of course, Justin Fields, a guy that really just been thrusted into a great culture, if you will. You know, the Bears fans, maybe not, but they have a rich culture, I suppose. It's not the worst team to play for, but right now their roster talent kind of is. Offensive line play was absolutely horrendous. Now, Fields did get a case of the Rodgers at times, taking a little too long to throw, maybe taking a sack that he shouldn't have, but receiver play, I mean, you have Mooney, and that's kind of it. Cole Kmet did have a kind of a coming out season. David Montgomery is all right in the pass catching department. He had a pretty good season in general as a running back. But behind that offensive line, behind the very uncreative play calling, the very lackluster receiving group, which has technically only gotten worse. I mean, they kind of just went and grabbed a bunch. This is not the way the roster is supposed to be lined up. I had to make some plays to get our draft picks back. But the way they, kind of played the offseason, they really didn't add much receiving talent. They have Velus Jones, who's fast, but he's basically already retired. He's a 25-year-old. I don't know what the hell we're going to do with him in Madden, but sure. Pringle, I mean, it's just a bunch of randomers you just use to fill the roster on a 0 overall rebuild team. It really feels like that. Of course, like I said, though, with Fields, a lot of potential. I don't understand how people are giving him crap. And it wasn't just rival fans. There was actually people saying the Bears are not going to go anywhere with Fields at quarterback. He's garbage. It's were they headed somewhere before they got him? I mean, he's literally the best thing that could happen to him. And they really didn't look to protect him. Now, I know the tackle prospects really weren't there in the high end of the second round, to be honest, but they really did nothing to protect him, and they did nothing to add receiving threats to make it easier for him to get rid of the ball sooner. Now, I will say secondary absolutely was and is one of their biggest issues, and they do get some really good studs with Brisker and Kyler Gordon. It kind of messed up that order, if you will, but were those the biggest needs? I suppose when you're in a super rebuild like they are right now, I guess getting the best possible talent you view at that particular moment is the most important thing. But once again, your biggest asset is absolutely Fields. You literally lost a top 10 pick getting him. On top of the pick it took to actually take him, you got to protect him. I just don't like what the Bears are doing. They're just regressing so freaking hard right now, and like I said, at least in Madden, absolutely a bottom 3 roster. And in real life, a safe to say bottom 5. Also, even though I know it's a little bit of an inflated number, I mean, anytime you get 18 sacks, it's pretty impressive. But it wasn't the craziest player of all time for those 18 sacks. Might be the most, I wouldn't say undeserving sack season, but it wasn't crazy great. It wasn't, super elite, but good enough to get star, maybe even argue superstar. But the only kind of true above average rusher, if you will. And yeah, I mean, there's some pieces. Obviously, we can build around the safeties, the corners, and Roquan, but every other position needs to go. I don't know what kind of accent that was. We need to replace 3 linemen minimum. Tevin Jenkins, the verdict's still out on him. He's going to be 24 in real life, and was injured, and I don't know. I mean, this is a tough team to rebuild, but hopefully we can get it done. As I do like the more challenging ones. I'm almost kind of hoping Justin Fields sucks just to add an extra dynamic to it, but I don't know. We're going to rock the Baltimore playbook out the gate to try and utilize those legs a little bit, as there's not really a whole lot of other weapons to utilize, and this is going to be a dev up for Herbert. the running back that actually showed some potential in preseason. I don't remember what he did in the regular season, but in preseason, I'm pretty sure he was pretty spectacular. But speaking of spectacular, it would be spectacular if you left a like and subscribed. That's a new one. But if you're not new and you're, continued watcher, even if you're not a subscriber, whatever, you continuing to support the channel, absolutely appreciate it a ton. And honestly, pray for us. This is bad. And I'm not just saying these things, I'm a Packers fan. I mean, honestly, I almost want the division to look better because it's like the Packers kind of almost get free shots into the playoffs because, I mean, everyone just views this as the easiest, weakest division, the NFC East. Thank you for existing, I suppose, but I want some competition in that regard. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, wow, free shot to the playoffs, and they never do anything with it. Shocker, useless, I want a proud division again. Hopefully, it's the fountain of youth, because I'm pretty sure he's like 25 or 26. Of course, we are going to be using that real class again, but as far as like, what we're going to be drafting, there's zero chance we grab quarterbacks. I'm hoping we get a top 2, top 3 pick, 3 minimum, because then we can grab Will Anderson, who we desperately could use. We absolutely need a pass rusher. That would be hands down number 1 on our list. I guess, thank you. Star development trade 10K. How old is he? Is he 24 or 26? Now, hold on a minute here. 24 years old. Star dev with 2 upgrade points. Now, wait a minute. He obviously looks like, a lot older than 24, but okay. I feel like this man has done some things for us in the past. Of course, the 2 upgrades were +4 to finesse as well. Hold on a full minute. Do we have to re-sign him? Because I'm going to do it now. Give me him. It's kind of weird to say it like that, but sure. I don't see him. I can't tell if that's a good or a bad thing, to be honest. They asked me quarterback check, and they're like, what do you want? You want Justin Fields to carry, or you want to build chemistry? It's like, well, I want to build chemistry, but I know the realistic answer, of course. The freaking Lions with a win over us. Also, I don't know if you noticed that, but, like, the Lions are in the top of the division. You have the Vikings and the Packers at, like, the literal bottom. Just awful stuff. 1-3. I mean, of course, it is early, and wouldn't surprise me to see those 2 teams above both us and the Lions, but only time will tell. 2-3 across the board, as you would expect, actually. And Brisker, who had a chance at Superstar. I think it's fair to give Brisker and Kyler Gordon star. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that, to be honest, but if you did, well, you could do something to change that, and that would be to suck it. And I lied. It would change nothing. Tampa's 1-5. They're looking worse than us. Also, let me know what you guys think in the future. This would be kind of like a next Madden thing, but let's say we're using the Texans team, and they're like 7 wins by week 10. Do we force lose all the games going forward? Because let's say, more importantly, let's, base off of next year, the Texans go 4-13 or something like that. And then we're doing like an off-season rebuild, and they don't add like a quarterback, they don't add a wide receiver, they don't add anything that's like going to significantly improve them. Like, surely I can't allow them to just become good without building up the roster, right? So, like, do we do that in the future? I'm trying to think. I don't want to, like, force it, because then you kind of get predetermined results, and it's just like, do you really want to do that? It's like, not really, to be honest. Losing to the Ravens with their playbook, how fitting. Winning against the Lions, how depressing. Once again, we'll take a quick look at the re-signings yet again, and it's just a bunch of, honestly, just backup level talent that has found their way as starters on this squad. And week 18 is about to finish. We finish at 5-12. I was a little worried there because we had 2 games won in a row, and it's like, don't do another real-life Bears where you suck all season long, and then out of nowhere you just start winning games right at the end, knocking yourselves out of a good pick, but also not getting yourself to the playoffs. But that's kind of not what happened. Fields, I mean, real game manager-esque. Devin Montgomery was all right, and this is why you don't run a Baltimore playbook. Justin Fields, who's extremely fast, probably like 90, 91 speed, gets 533, which isn't terrible. But as far as Madden is concerned, it's really not great. Darnell Mooney wasn't great. Cole Kmet had his best year yet. And man, this was a season that just really didn't do a whole lot for me, unless David Montgomery devs up or something. Robert Quinn with 8 sacks. Roquan, I mean, 4 block kicks. Like, what do you want, What do you want, honestly? But As far as the awards go, Kyler Murray's MVP. His contract talks have definitely heated up. Technically, Rookie of the Year for Fields, which, is it fair? Is it not? I don't really care. As once again, it's really not going to play that much of a factor, as we're still absolutely in the hole here. I just hope we're in a hole of top 3. If we're not in the top 3, that is going to be the ultimate depressing moment. We're going to look right now, though, and we're 5. No. So maybe not quarterback. Quarterback. Would want quarterback. Could go edge. Could go quarterback, though. And then we get lucky at 5 just based on quarterback needs, perhaps? I think we're screwed. I think Will Anderson's gone. Breesy is probably going to be the choice, which is a pretty big need for a 4-3, which this team has shifted back to. It feels like they switch every other year, it seems. But the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Nothing really too spectacular. Nothing too unexpected. And as expected, this team has crazy cap room, which I imagine is true in real life, because if not, what the hell? Like, what are you doing? Where's the money? Where's the talent? You got to have one of them. That's how it works. Unless you're the Jaguars, you have to have one of them. I'm sorry, Jaguars fans, but it's kind of true. Ethan Peterman has 78 throw power. Yeah, I don't think that's something I'm going to be re-signing. Any contributors, specifically of the pass rush variety, because we're about to lose Will Anderson, unfortunately. Odell Beckham, not the worst signing for this team. I don't know if he would want to join us, though. Of course, Gronk retired in real life. It's kind of irrelevant. J.C. Treader, a former Brown, and more importantly for this team's legacy, a former Packer. We all know that this division loves to steal players from each other, so it's not really stealing, but it's something that would be mentioned, obviously. And even though center's not our biggest actual need, offensive linemen in general are a big need for us, so whatever it takes to get a lineman here is kind of on my list. But as expected, you're really not going to see many starting caliber players here available. I mean, this just isn't really a good look for us. We could actually go Landon Collins to just move him down a linebacker. I mean, that's kind of something that he's doing a lot of anyways, so why not? As Jacksonville is like, we know why not, because we're doing that. He's slow, but he actually is really solid. But the release with the speed, I don't know if I can pull the trigger on a 4-year 50 for Jacoby Myers, but he is like sneakily good. I mean, I do like him a lot, and it would be just enough of a signing to not have to grab wide receiver at pick 5, but at the same time, all the players we want could be gone, and pick 5 might have to be wide receiver. I don't know, but if there's a possibility Will Anderson, which is that sliver, kind of thinking maybe you do it. I don't know. And this just seems like a Bears signing. It seems like a Jaguars signing or a Bears signing, so why not it be us? Yeah, I said it. Those exact words and all. All right, so we did offer on some players that are maybe not super long-term, but some are long-term, some are just really big helps right now, and we lose Landon and we lose Jacoby. 2 really big signings that is out the window, of course. We get the backup Redwine to play safety, obviously, and then we get Treader to start at center, with Barnes being kind of like a sneaky little 3-year 19, who's obviously very young. Can maybe learn a few things from Roquan, perhaps. I mean, the draft board might decide our pick for us, but us not getting Jacoby there probably forces us into wide receiver, right? Like, I don't know if we really have much of a choice here. And of course, with the emergence, not a crazy emergence, but the sliver emergence of Gibson, it gives us a little bit more to work with, but man, passing on Breesy for a wide receiver could prove costly. We get a Sean Hand as just kind of like a safety net DT for us, and we're going to be moving on to the draft. So this could not be quarterback, but I would assume that it is. And it is not. I can't tell if I enjoy that pick or not. It gives us, one of these next 3 picks, 2 of these picks are going to be quarterback. Do we luck out and see Will Anderson headed to us? Philadelphia, take anyone but Will Anderson, and I'm ecstatic. Maybe not so much, as the Lions are going to end up taking Will right before us. Wow. That gives you a very unbelievably rare chance to grab a guy that good. I mean, that's just insane, dude. What about Myles Murphy, though? How good is he? Because you could go Breesy, take Myles Murphy high, like trade him up, trade up to like 26 if he's there. Because Breesy's a god as well. But I also think that Will Anderson is just such a freak athlete. If this monster is there at pick 5, you take him. I don't know if he will be. I honestly don't feel like he will be. But in case that's how it goes, we've seen wide receiver go really high before. What was it, 3 quarterbacks and a wide receiver? That is possible. It's not the most realistic outcome, but it is very possible. So Myles Murphy did go 21. He goes to the Vikings, which are rivals, obviously, which hurts. But I suppose it's a good sign that we took Will Anderson because we would have got cucked. I don't know what to do because our left tackle is gone, but we do have the wide receiver Demis. I feel like we've used him recently enough, but I don't know if he was ever developed that properly. He would become the new number 2. I don't know, dude. Now I just wish I could have that damn left tackle back, to be honest. So I'm not too mad that we didn't trade up because all the players that I want are still there. I was looking at tackle. I was looking at wide receiver. It's going to be really hard not to go Demis. We also do have Parker Washington. But I do think we need a taller guy, but I don't know if that's the guy because he's taller, but he's not really thicker, which is weird, but true. Which, of course, I mean, I don't know. Like, a lot of these guys are probably not players that are even projected to go super high in real life, but, just basing it off of what the game has them rated as, whoever made this class. You know what? We actually lost out on linebacker. I'm going to go Trenton Simpson instead. He's super freaking beastly. I was mulling this pick over hard. Hidden development trait, super speedly. I feel like we've seen him before. We never pulled the trigger because I couldn't tell if he was actually coverage or not. And ultimately, we ended up taking him here, which now I kind of get it in real life, right? I'm kind of getting the Bears a little bit. It's not easy to just take a wide receiver alignment if the pick just doesn't seem right. Like, I wanted wide receiver, I wanted, lineman, but it never happened. Fleming was a thought of mine. I mean, at this point, we might end up just grabbing some completely random wide receiver. Do we risk our next year pick to trade up with the Broncos to get 55 off of them, which you can maybe even argue isn't even realistic because in real life, they could easily say that. What if we just turn it around? But obviously, that's just not going to happen. I'm really deciding between E.J. Williams and Demis. I just feel like Demis is just not... He's not thick enough. I know the other guy's not too much, bigger, but I guess we're going to go with Demis. I should probably learn his name since it's like the second time we've drafted and will develop him. And I may trade up one more time depending on what kind of linemen are there. Kind of thinking of Putnam and then putting him at left tackle. Caden Wallace goes, I'm trading up 4 spots to grab Putnam to put him at left tackle. We give up a 6 next year to move up 4 spots in the 3rd round to grab the guard, which we'll still have a 4th round next year, or this year, but we just don't have a 2nd round next year, which is a little disappointing, but the pick was good, so why not? And where is he? Oh, wait, was he gone? Oh, no! Oh, he's left. Okay, never mind. Will Putnam, of course, decently not athletic. I thought he was athletic, but okay, well, interesting left tackle, I suppose. Hidden development trait, 85 strength. That's going to be something. I imagine he's going to drop hard if I try to put him there, but whatever, we're desperate. How come this E.J. Williams guy is still there? He's a 4th round pick. I'm going to grab him. I don't care. Normal development trait. 6'3", 195, kind of getting Amon-Ra St. Brown vibes here. I think Amon-Ra is like 6'1", 6'2", right? 6 foot, same thing. 2 5th-round picks. Was this something that we were supposed to have? I don't remember even trading down. Maybe it was a real life thing. I don't know. I think in real life we're out a couple of 6 rounds and we just don't have them. So, yeah, the same thing, right? We're going to go with a big tanky DT, Tavondre Sweat. Super strong. Well, I guess maybe not super strong. He has 36 bench press reps. He's a big fella. Also not a fella that's looking too promising if we're going to be honest with ourselves. Now this guy's slow as hell, but he has an A zone coverage. I don't know what to think about it. It's a 6th round pick. I'm willing to risk it on him. Normal development trait, 81 speed, 86 L. I'll tell you what, that A better be literally in the 80s. And with that is going to be our last pick. Didn't quite get every position we needed, but we did add to the team. Once again, we grabbed a center in free agency. We just grabbed a tackle there, technically, kind of. We landed 2 wide receivers. We landed a god-tier pass rusher. As far as overalls go, yeah, I mean, it kind of drops down exactly where you'd expect it to, but still a bunch of starters, and realistically, I mean, all the way up to even E.J. Williams, they're pretty much all starters. So how did the draft go? So wide receiver, quarterback, tight end. It is the Lions, I will say. I mean, they do that a lot, which, I mean, it'd be fitting, but probably super unrealistic, but who cares? I'm not going to, I already do so many things that people are like, you idiot, you could have got so much more for this guy. Like, he's like past his prime, but he's just decent enough in Madden to squeeze out extra picks or an extra player. But it's like, really, dude? Like, you're not going to get that in real life. What we got was already more than enough. All right, so year 2, we did add some talent to the team. We did a better job of doing what we were kind of criticizing the Bears front office for failing to do, which is kind of add to the offensive line, add a little bit of receiving threats. We added 2 names, a wide receiver 2 that could develop into a wide receiver 1 with another guy that's kind of on the slower side, more of a route runner catcher type that maybe could develop himself. We got Putnam, who may even move to right guard if we find an even better tackle prospect in the future. We obviously added Treader, which was a really big addition. Of course, nothing else pretty much to the offense. Of course, I don't know if I mentioned this, but obviously Herbert had the rookie breakout mentorship thing, so he's star development trait. So haven't really looked at running back outside of that. And then defensively, we added 2 linebackers for coverage. We added Will Anderson for pass rush, and that's kind of it. But we added a little bit of depth with Redwine, and of course Gibson is now the backup edge. But he's back up to all the edge spots, so he should still play some significant snaps and maybe be in a good spot to replace Robert Quinn even as soon as next season, even though Robert Quinn did have the most sacks for us last year. It's just, I mean, let's be honest. He's reaching that point of his career, at least in Madden. Deshaun Hand goes to star development trait, which is, I mean, it's intriguing. I think he should have probably gotten more XP considering he's 26 years old, but sure, I guess. All right, Roquan wants a contract based on what we're seeing in real life. I'd say something like a 5-year, probably 90 would be, if, he plays consistently, which obviously in Madden here, it's literally consistent all the way across. So a 5-year, can we just get it to 90? Thank you. 90, I think is pretty fair. It's under Darius Leonard, which I'm not saying that he doesn't do as much. He might even be more valuable because he's a little bit better in coverage, but I mean, it is what it is. Things happen. David Montgomery had a pretty good season, but once again, he's a limited back. He's not, some crazy break-free home run guy. He's good, but is he worth, 15 mil per? Probably not. So a 5-year 50, I think, is kind of fair. Maybe he's worth a little bit more, but not by much. But other players, Lucas Patrick, their only kind of free agent signing for a lineman, not really someone I'm looking to keep on, so we will need an automatic lineman replacement regardless. And we also, of course, have the great Lamar Jackson. And it's sad that he's a DB and he's much slower than the quarterback one. We're having a little bit of an up-and-down season, and once again, Jaquan Brisker with a chance at Superstar doesn't get it. Wow, did we ever have an epic choke on the season. 5-1 turned 7-10. Didn't change a scheme, I didn't even change a single person on the depth chart, not even when breakouts came out, and we just lost. Losing to the Packers, I guess, fair enough. Panthers, probably not. Vikings, maybe. Colts, probably not. Packers, and then Eagles. There were some tough teams in there, of course. Losing to the Giants and the Vikings, I mean, what can you really do, right? Losing to the Lions does suck, but 5-1 to 7-10. The most realistic Bears rebuild of all time. Of course, touchdown to pick ratio, really not that impressive from Fields, 4,600 yards. I went with the Raiders offensive playbook. I don't remember if I mentioned that. Also, is David, he's only star. I thought maybe he would have went to superstar after last year, but good yards per carry, of course. Receiving 3 guys at 1,000 yards, little interesting. But yeah, I went with the Raiders because I felt like, kind of similar running back situation, and that's kind of it, honestly. I just looked at the running back and I was like, yeah, that's kind of realistic, and that's kind of it, but not the worst, right? Of course, really good sack numbers. Will Anderson with 14.5, Robert Quinn with 14. And you kind of like feel like, do you force him to be a superstar and keep him going? I don't know. Cairo Santos has got to go. The Bears' kicking issues are back. And as someone who... It's funny because I actually didn't laugh at the double doink because my mother is a Bears fan and I kind of felt bad. But, like, seeing them have issues with kicking for a while, like I have with words, I mean, it wasn't painful. Sorry, Bears fans. I'm just going to be honest. Rodgers MVP. I wasn't caught up on Rodgers being MVP. I was literally just, kind of just telling my story. Will Anderson with the Rookie of the Year award was, damn, really? No Fields to be found. 8 on Montgomery. Sammy Watkins, number 1, I'm sure. 5 for Mooney. Not terrible. O-line, obviously not. D-line, number 6 and 7. I know they kind of split, but, like, it seems a little low. They played really well. Linebacker, no. DB, number 3. A couple of NFC North players on there. And kicking, don't even get me started, dude. Like, his kicker should be gone. The Jaguars versus the Cowboys. Obviously 2 teams that you're expecting to be in the Super Bowl every year. Cowboys win the Super Bowl. Now, that's not super unexpected, especially in Madden, obviously. But let's take a look at the dev-ups, which, of course, you do see one being Mr. Mooney, the most important of them all, I suppose. Superstar development trait. No dev-up for Fields, no surprise. Montgomery, I thought maybe should have had one by now. Wide receivers, Valus, probably, but didn't. Of course, looking at the defensive side of things, Trenton Simpson, was he already a superstar? Did he just go there? He was not. So he got to superstar, which is clutch. Will Anderson should actually probably be an X factor, if we're going to be honest, but played really well without it. He'll probably just get it on his own anyways. I don't want anyone to be mad. Oh, you drafted a guy that might not have been there if he was X factor. And, like, please, relax. And then, of course, Jalen Johnson, another massive dev up. But, of course, 2 superstar dev ups to players that are literally about to get a contract. Maybe not my favorite thing in the world, but, hey. Deshaun Hand, also a very great addition to the team, and DT is still probably a pretty big need. But outside of that, I mean, we're kind of looking all right. And as much as Robert Quinn played well for us, unless we actually force him, which maybe we should, because that's a pretty good seasons, man. So in real life, we'd actually be able to save a ton of money getting rid of Robert Quinn, and here's the thing. I don't think we should, but, like, if I'm not going to force his ratings up, it's kind of unfair, but you know what? We're going to force his ratings for 1 more year, and no matter how good he plays, we're going to let him go and just assume that he's either retiring or he's just not good enough to be a starter anymore. So, there's that. I can't really remember what he's been using lately, so I'm just going to go with something like that. I mean, I don't think he even needs that, but just in the fairness of things, 83 overall superstar, I think is, beyond fair at this rate. An 18 sack, an 8 sack, and a 14.5, or was it 14, whatever. That's well-deserving in my opinion, and we'll let him go next season no matter what. We're also kind of wasting Gibson here, who, at least has a chance long-term with us, but I don't know if he does anymore. But hey, I'm going realism mode, and if you're playing well still, you stick around, simply put. Unless our plans are shifted by a free agency opening of a pass rusher variety. Rashawn Gary, who's only a star. It's a little bit of an L. Brian Burns is a guy I just don't expect to be let go. Daron Payne, the DTs there have kind of fallen off a little bit, even though, he's, it's not like Jonathan Allen level. So, like, he could be a guy that would potentially be on the way out. I don't expect it, but I wouldn't also say he's a lock to stay long-term, so even though we've done the move a few times, and Deshaun Hand, we need a pass rusher, though, don't we? Daron Payne's really not what we're looking for, but at the same time, if you can get 2 stud block shedders, it's kind of not the worst thing. Of course, Terry McLaurin, I wouldn't expect a free agency signing type of deal, but he could be off Washington. He's just sick of it, doesn't want to play there anymore. Request a trade, whatever it may be. And I was about to say there was a big dog in town, a new big dog in town, but there is not. Brian Burns rejects our offer to join the Jets of all teams. They probably did offer more than us. I offered a 5-year $115. I wasn't super comfortable with giving him the money as Fields isn't the furthest away from needing a contract. I know he's not that close, but he's also not the furthest away, and obviously that would bleed into that, kind of timing. And obviously we have to pay Jalen Johnson and who else? Darnell Mooney this year, which could both be 15 mil-ish deals or more, so I didn't want to do that. Jake Elliott was in free agency, so I gave him a 3-year $12, and then Nate Davis is a 3-year $41, which of course once again improves our offensive line, making it basically complete, as you could see. Because, first rounders don't last long around here. We have pick 13. The Lions get pick number 1 overall, and this time they decide to pull the trigger on quarterback. This time the price is right, as they are not stuck with like the last of the, the bunch. They were kind of stuck with Grayson McCall, I believe, would have been the choice. Of course, speaking of, no second round pick, so for a moment, it looked like we made a really good call, and then we kind of sucked, but we still landed a good player with that pick, so I'm not too worried about it. But as far as what we need and what we should go for, there's some pretty decent-looking DT-type prospects, but because there's multiple of them, why would I take one at 13? I think the answer is I wouldn't, but of course, there are some other good, kind of later picks. There's a guy that's named Bassey that looks really good at wide receiver, but is a wide receiver that big of a need that we'd be taking one in the first round, let alone 13 overall? Probably not. So, as with a lot of NFC North teams, we are going to be trading down to also try to recoup that second-round pick that we lost from last year's draft. The Vikings are giving us immense value, but I don't think, especially in their division, that that's something I want to do. The Saints are getting nuts with it, but I kind of need a little bit of a higher pick, I think. I could do that. The Saints have done that in the past, and they've really been going crazy for those higher draft picks. And even though the Chiefs are really giving me something I like there, I'm going to go with the Saints. That's just too much value. It's just too much. And with pick 13, they're going to take maybe another wide receiver. A left tackle, in fairness. You can never have enough tackles, especially if you sell on all the other picks that you've made at left tackle. There's 2 defensive tackle type guys that I want one of them of for sure. So whenever one goes, we'll probably trade up for the other. And so far, it's looking not too bad. Still not too bad. Hell, even our outside linebacker prospect's still there. It's crazy. And he's still there. So 24 is where we were originally going to trade down to. We would have been fine. We're still fine. And I think Cates was the outside linebacker pick I had. But obviously, we don't need pass rusher that much. But as far as who we're going to take, we kind of have a pick of our own. Who do I go for? I was wondering where the hell he went. This is the other guy, the right end. 6'5", insane athleticism. Could play edge if he had to, even though he's 302 pounds. 21 years old. Then we got to compare him to the other 2 guys, Perry Butler, who is 22 years old, but looks a little more sound, if we're going to be honest. And then we also have the other choice of, I think his name is Perriman. I think it was Perriman. Was it Perriman? I don't even know, but it seems kind of like it's between those 2, and I can't get over the fact that there is a guy with 302-pound frame that can run a 4.59. That's just absurd. Nick Jarrett is the choice. And he's hidden development traits. 83 speed, 83 excel, 87 strength at 302. And he's 21. This guy's kind of busted. He's actually insanely good. And of course, Butler goes right after us, which, they're probably like, whew, kind of. Unless we took the guy they wanted, and they're like, damn. Or the third option is that is an AI that has no feelings. That, maybe. Don't know if this is an overtrade, but we did it. 11 picks. Gave him a 4th-round pick this year, which actually was probably pretty high, but meh. I almost just skipped the pick. That would have been great news. And yeah, we're going to go with Callum Van Dyke. C block shed, 22, 6'4", 4.66. Not the greatest of 40s and all that, but once again, that A finesse move, gotta risk it for the biscuit. And normal dev, unfortunately, but once again, if that A is decent, 23-year-old starter. It's not the worst. And we're going to go with the unbelievable potential of a day 3 center in Connor Huston. I mean, guaranteed. Yeah, I mean, what'd you expect, honestly? Like, what'd you think he was going to be normal? We now have a high 5th, which I don't know enough about this Will McCoy guy other than he's, semi-fast as a power back. So, going to trade this pick away, and if that 6th round, if the running back's still there in the 6th round, we'll grab the running back, I guess. I think we also might need a fullback. Going to go with the 4th round pick from the Falcons next year, as I think that kind of worked out for us this year, so why not repeat? Of course he's gone, so that would kind of signify that he was actually a decent player, right? We're going to grab Josh Gray to kind of be our, really, really poor man's Tariq Cohen. And, yeah, like I said, really poor man's. So poor, it's not even, you order chicken and it's actually, Chernobyl duck or something. My man has no speed, no excel, no agility, no freaking change of direction. He's nothing like Tariq Cohen other than the height. Which, considering how slow he is actually a downgrade. And, of course, the first guy I looked at it, an A run block, whatever. Normal development trait, I mean, A is all I really need to see. All right, here we go. Draft recap. Let's also take a look at the DT we missed out on, and obviously we got to look at Gordon. And the Lions took up multiple players we were kind of looking at, but 63 overall, 66 overall for the 6th and 7th round picks. Not that big of a deal, but the right end, 75 overall, who is, potential at right, and actually sticking to defensive end, but I think we can actually physically start him at DT this year, so why would we wait? Going to be playing next to Mr. Deshaun Hand, who actually had a pretty good season. He is star development trait, fair enough. Then you have the outside linebacker, Van Dyke, who would be playing, I believe, the right end spot. 80 finesse, in fairness, very fast, so usable for sure. Going to play him at right end and change that awful, ugly, disgusting number. Which, to be fair, I don't even remember looking at our defensive end. He was 92. Actually, he's fine. 50 doesn't even look that good for a white dude playing pass rusher. Connor Huston, it's absolutely insane. I think he probably will stay at center and just replace our center for the future when Treader decides to retire. And Huston is star development trait. It's been a little while. He's got the dark visor on, though. My man's balling regardless. The Lions, 71 overall, normal losers. And he's not even fast. He's tiny and Shaheed. He's awful. What about the DT? One pick after us. Did we make the right call? And we apparently did, right? Of course, normal to star kind of can be glitchy at times, but I think in this case we made the right call. Let's take a look at Bassie, actually, to the Rams, 77 overall, hidden. Wow. This guy's kind of beastly out the gate, though. Guy's not bad, 5'9", 199. We kind of have a guy just like him, but a little bit faster. But what's that dev, though? Superstar. It's tough when you know, right? He's going to be a superstar, but, it's just not a position of need. What can I do? I can't just force wide receiver and running back every time just because they're somewhat easy to draft. Also, Hammond was not a Lion. He was a freaking Cowboy, which kind of reminds me of E.J. Williams a little bit. And then Gordon, who's a 73 overall, normal, 22 on top of it. Terrible excel. Usable, but definitely way worse than I would have thought based on just looking at his, card and all that. But fair enough. Not a bad draft. Not a perfect draft. We have all of our picks intact for next year, I believe. Technically this year coming up. And I think we added an extra 4th, if I'm not mistaken, right? I don't think we traded anything crazy up. I think it was just down every time. Actually, no, one of them was a little bit of an overtrade in the 3rd. That's pretty much it, though. All right, year 3, I think back-to-back years playing the Raiders in preseason, which it's not really big, but obviously we're using the Raiders offense, and that's kind of I don't know, it's just something, all right? But looking at the team, obviously all stars on the offensive line. Technically, we're going to lose one of these linemen next year. Probably Whitehair, whether, he wants us to or not, but Huston will be the backup probably at center, but it's weird because he's a center, but he is huge. He's 6'5", 318. Even though he's on the slower side, probably makes more sense at guard, so we put him at left guard. He'll play for Whitehair next season. Treader, I think we do have him on contract for another year, so we'll end up, probably dropping his replacement, but as far as, replacing him, might not. Receivers, I think, are just good enough. Defensively, I think, is in a pretty good spot. Robert Quinn will be gone next season no matter what. He's on that 1 year, basically $17 million deal, but he's so good. Even without us boosting his ratings and his dev on our own, he was still playing really well. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with what we did. I think it's completely fair, but yeah, I mean, either way, I think we're just going to move on from him next season, even if he has like a 20-sack season, because other than that, I would have to like boost him again, and I don't really feel kind of like iffy about it already. All right, we got to pay some players. Jalen Johnson would probably be around the 17 mil mark, which I really don't feel like calculating, so I'm just going to be like, hey, that's pretty close. We did a 5-year 88, and then for Mooney, that money would probably be pretty high. I'd say probably like 20 per. It's hard to tell where the money's kind of going in real life because you can't really compare it to Christian Kirk. Like if I was in the offices and the wide receiver and his agent came out, I don't even know how it works. They just have the agent there, whatever. But I'd be like, okay, we're not the Jaguars here, all right? So, that was a free agent signing and the Jaguars. You add those two together and you got to realize it's just not reality. All right, buddy. Of course, Deshaun Hand, a little bit of a surprise. He's actually been pretty good for us. I'm actually going to give him the deal. A 3-year 24 for his efforts. Goes from a 1-year 6 to a 3-year 24 with a crazy signing bonus. So very impressed for him. Very happy for him. And looking at Travis Gibson, we're losing Robert Quinn, but we have a backup ready to go. Kind of debating. Cole Kmet's actually been really good for us. I think this would actually be kind of a costly deal, believe it or not. I think this would be like a 5-year 44, 45, because he's improved every single season. He's played just as well, if not improved. We brought Kyle Fuller back to be our slot corner / backup safety. Probably won't be a long-term deal there. And of course, we do have to pay Treader, who is a good overall still, but I think we could probably sign him at the end of the season if we decide to keep him, which I'm debating because once again, he'll be 33. That regression might be hard. But Gibson is the tough one because based on the way he looks here, he looks good, but after that star dev season, he didn't even play that well anyways. This was the season he was a full starter for us. 3.5 sacks. He just got a lucky breakout, to be honest, but as far as his ratings go, he is solid. So, I don't know, a 3-year 29, do I really want to pay that for a guy that may literally never start? I mean, it's not the worst backup money. It's pretty costly, but it's not that bad. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have him starting over Van Dyke, to be honest. Van Dyke will be 23. He won't even have started yet. I mean, it would basically be like doing another Travis Gibson without, but of course, you can see here we're having an okay season. Nothing crazy. Okay. All right, having a pretty good year. We decided to ditch the Raiders playbook around week 7, and we ended up going with the Los Angeles Chargers playbook, which is kind of a new one. I don't know if the rushing numbers are going to be very good in this, though, which is going to be kind of something, but showing you there what, we are on, in case you didn't believe me or something. But we'll take a look at the season stats, see if, or not the season stats, but the games who we lost to. So the Panthers, fair enough. Packers, fair enough. Bengals, Saints, Lions. I mean, some teams here, especially the Seahawks, that you probably wouldn't expect to lose to, but at the same time, there's a lot of games that happen like that where, it's just completely unexpected. Looking at the stats, Justin Fields, those touchdowns really low. Picks still kind of high. Yards are decent. David Montgomery, like we expected, did have a down year because of the playbook, but we were winning more. Cole Kmet was pretty good, which is a little surprising because once again, it's the Chargers. Their tight end numbers aren't usually that crazy, so that fair contract that we gave him is fair. Mooney, Demis, and Velus Jones, all pretty good numbers, all considering that there's multiple names. There's like 4 names there. Tackles pretty bad. I mean, how the hell is this our Robert Quinn, dude? He's a glitch. Of course, Will Anderson's having a crazy career so far too, but Robert Quinn is killing it, dude. What do I do? Honestly, Kyler Gordon, 5 picks. Jalen Johnson, 4. I could see maybe how we were good. Kind of like the OG Bears. Our defense kind of just clutching up hard for us, which is awesome, obviously. 13th offense, first in defense. That's easily enough to make the playoffs, without a doubt. Kind of just 13 in general. And defensively, first. I mean, this defense. Let's see the players of the year. Could have defensive player of the year, actually. We didn't. It was number 2 and number 4. Offensive rookie. Wow, the Vikings. Holy crap. That's not a common thing to see. The AI getting that many rookie of the years up there. Of course, Nick Jarrett. Just don't even remember what he even did for us, honestly. Fields at 9, which is really rough. Running back, number 9 again. Wide receiver, not even on the list. O-line, definitely not on the list. D-line, number 2, number 4. Linebacker, not on the list. DB, number 6, and... No, I thought there was going to be multiple, just number 6. Kicker, number 1. Hey, we got one. We got something. It's only a kicker, but... Oh, man. At least we're in the playoffs, though. What? Wait, we aren't? Wait, did we miss? I just assumed. Oh, my. That is unbelievable. Is that actually an NFL record? Is that the highest win total missed playoffs of all time? Because, I mean, it's already, there's so many more games now. Well, not maybe so many more, but there's an extra game now, so you would assume that it would have had to happen, like, this year or, last couple of seasons in game. I just assumed we were in the playoffs. That's insane. 11 wins and we missed. What the hell? Obviously, we don't have pick 28, but wow. All right, I just assumed. I just, I knew we didn't have the bye week, but then I looked back. I was like, wait a minute, we don't have an opponent. What's going on here? Wow, that is harsh. Well, Cowboys versus the Chiefs. I think that was literally back to back. I feel like I've seen this matchup this rebuild. Can't really remember. This is a different day I'm recording, anyways. But Cowboys do end up winning. I'm pretty sure the Chiefs have won a Super Bowl though, so I don't know, but. Looking at the dev-ups, none on offense could have maybe argued, maybe the wide receiver, perhaps Velus, who's, been decent as a backup. Of course, Cole Kmet. I think if he has another season like he just had, I think I will force him to superstar, but, it's kind of a tough one, right? Like, tight ends are kind of doing pretty well in real life as well, and they don't really get super recognition. I mean, that is close. I feel like that's kind of like, it's almost Zach Ertz level when he was in his, like, quote-unquote prime. I don't know, but of course, defensively, we had actual dev-ups. Robert Quinn is now an X Factor. He's only 81 overall, but I mean, as far as like how good someone does based on their overall, this man has been like insane. Obviously, Will Anderson should have probably been X Factor out the gate, but whatever. Kyler Gordon, of course, is now a superstar. He's 25 already, which is kind of iffy, but should be fine. Of course, no dev-up for Eddie Jackson, who's now 30. Looking to possibly replace him. So, free safety 1. And that's kind of it for defense. I kind of like where we're at. I mean, Gibson, man. We just paid him a 3-year 29, yet he's not going to start again, dude, I don't think. I mean, unless Robert Quinn just retires on his own, but I'm pretty sure he just regressed. So, I mean, Travis Gibson didn't really even play that much. I don't know if Van Dyke did, but offensively, I don't know if I want to pay Treader. We'll see. I just feel like we're in this, like, spot. I mean, we did go 11-6, so we have easily should have and could have made the playoffs, but we're just in a weird spot where, like, we're good, but we're not good enough, and I don't know if I see the light at the end of the tunnel, Like, I just feel like it's taking a bit too long here. So we have the money, obviously, but at the same time, we also need something to draft. Do you really want to pay a center, even though he's good? Has he allowed a lot of sacks or anything like that? Like, he's a center, I highly doubt it, but 5 sacks as a center? I mean, I guess I might as well let him go, right? Like, what the hell is that? 5 sacks allowed as a center? How is it even possible? Oh, wow. Tristan Wirfs is a free agent. I mean, surely Tampa is in a spot. I have seen Terry McLaurin in free agency here a lot. He was actually a free agent after free agency bidding was over, and I saw him in there. Anyone could have just signed him, but at the same time, we have to pay Justin Fields, we have to pay Kyler Gordon, we have to pay Brisker, we have to pay a bunch of names right now. Tevin Jenkins, who actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like, do you actually even pay him 80 overall, 26? Wirfs, once again, it's an unlikely letting of going, but possible. It is possible, especially the Buccaneers team that, at this point might be in shambles. So maybe he's like, I'm leaving for a team that's going to win, which, of course, a guy like him hitting the open market would be, I mean, massive. I mean, it would probably be like, 20-something per year minimum. Do I really want to pay that for a tackle? Probably not, to be honest. Honestly, I think we just draft center and deal with the linemen we've got. So I actually signed Zach Tom. I think he's here, maybe a year early, but you could easily make the argument that they just, like, released him or something. I don't know. Probably not, but he wasn't, like, the highest draft pick in the world, so I allowed of it. He was a 2-year, $14 million deal. Of course, the bad part about him is once again, he's a finesse type on the interior, so not a bad player perhaps, but I'm going to put him at center and just call it a day. But yeah, we are in a little bit of a weird spot because it's like we have that backup pass rusher that should possibly be starting. Yeah, I kind of regret that move, not going to lie. This is an interesting one. In real life, I feel like you definitely would want another season, but for us, I'm gonna play it like real life. Okay, so in Madden, I know that a guy like Fields is worth it. But in real life, you wouldn't actually know at this point. So I'm going to go with yes for the realism. But for Madden's terms, for what we know is going to happen, we're assuming he's going to pick it up even better soon enough. And we can get him on a cheap deal that would be fair. Like anything under 20 mil per or around 20 mil per would be pretty fair. Yet would put us in a huge advantage when you compare some of the other quarterback contracts around the league. All right, pick 18, not making the playoffs at 11-6, which is super bad. I'd imagine we had the highest pick that was not a playoff team, well, in the sense of non-trades at least. This guy was mentioned on, their bullcrap list of prospects, spotlights, and all that. I don't really care too much. Wide receiver, I think we're fine on. There are a couple of names that are decent, though, like Devin Kidd and the other guy look pretty good. Could use a number 3 as Valus is like 28, 29 already, which is crazy. We also have Bates, who looks really solid. But once again, do we need a number 1 or 2? Probably not. I mean, maybe in real life, but in Madden, I think you can kind of argue that we're set. There is a defensive end. I know, but we kind of need one for the future. I don't know, dude. It's tough because in real life, you wouldn't think pass rush is a problem. But in Madden, 34 years old Quinn, Trevis, I don't know if I like him. Van Dyke, I mean, I just don't know, dude. I do know I want Christie and I want Landry, so the second and third round picks I think are going to be pretty easy to decide, but pick 18, I don't know. And also, to get that pass rusher, since he's a round 1, we probably have to trade up to like 12. So, I don't know, I'm kind of iffy on that in general. A lot of quarterbacks going here. There goes Pittman to the Browns. You can tell he's a good player because the Browns took him, but let's maybe take a wide receiver, I guess. I don't know, maybe. Like, it's just, what do you do here? I just don't know what to do. You know what, honestly, they're all 1 to 2s. We don't have that big of a need for it. I might as well trade down. There's literally no point to take someone here. So we trade pick 18 and a 7th next year for 25, 89, and 121 from the Colts this year, which they will end up taking potentially a wide receiver. Alex Donaldson. And we don't have a whole lot on him, but wide receiver is kind of a need for us, right? 6'1", 212 is kind of the prototypical beastly wide receiver. I'm going to take him. Hidden development trait, 91 speed, 93 excel, 86 jumping. I mean, like I said, it's kind of prototypical good wide receiver size. Decided to grab him, why not? Seattle's going to give us 49 this and 42 next to move all the way up to 23. I'm going to take it because our players are kind of like second or later anyways, so we'll have back-to-back picks in the second round. They traded up for a running back. Oh my. It would have been a pretty big sell if we actually didn't land the safety, but I think he should be here, and he is. Roman Landry, nothing crazy, but the fact that he's 6'2", 21 years old, needs to sit a year behind Eddie Jackson anyways, and has good physical traits is the reason why I'm going to be taking him to potentially replace Eddie Jackson. And he's hidden. Of course, jumping agility is really not great, and speed-wise, he's literally just barely fast enough. And it's really tough on me because I do want to grab another linebacker, as Barnes is a guy that needs a contract. He's an outside linebacker, might cost too much. He's 26. But at the same time, once again, it's not that big of a need, so we're going to be trading down. So we trade 50 for 66 this and a 4th round next year. Nothing really crazy in our favor, but once again, we're going to land the player we want, and that's really all that matters to me. Adding an extra 4th is just, the cherry, if you will. And yeah, the linebacker, Taquan Christie, not the most sound player, but a C tackle, a B zone, and more importantly, blazing speed, which is obviously... if that was actually true, that would be crazy, but it's not, so it is what it is. But normal development trait, 91 speed, though. 88 excel, 88 agility, 81 jumping even is pretty good. Change of direction is pretty iffy, but yeah, might not be quite the player I was hoping him to be, but it is what it is. And we did actually need to grab a new... No, we didn't need to grab a new lineman. We actually solved that position. This guy doesn't look great, but the fact that he is a 2 to 3 talent... And besides, the lead block does look pretty good. Tells me it might be worth grabbing. But yeah, that whole situation, you know, that whole not needing a lineman thing. Do we end up trading to the late third for a 6th this year? I'm going to end up grabbing DeMarcus Leonard, 6'3", young corner, normal development trade, and just enough athleticism to obviously start if he had to. So, I mean, that's good depth. I don't hate the pick. I think that's pretty good. And here we are with back-to-back selections. I'm going to end up taking an A power move DT, who's once again also very young. 85 strength. I thought he had 33 reps. I think 32 is like 86 strength, right? So I thought it was like 87 strength maybe, but I guess freaking not. Either way, A power move should be good. The left guard's still there. Start of the 4th. Why not? Randy Davenport. I guess I know why. Jeez, those last 3 picks were awful. But once again, we do have a lot of depth, so. We traded 2 4ths and a 5th for a 3rd next from the Bengals, which I think is not the most unrealistic trade. A team that's expected to make the playoffs, maybe even win the Super Bowl, getting 3 right now picks that are pretty decent. I think, if anything, we maybe got scammed. We ended up taking Dennis Burris. He's 23, but he's actually pretty strong. Once again, those reps, 35 reps, 87 strength, a little misleading, but I guess. We're going to grab a backup tight end. He's kind of the best one remaining, which isn't a lot to say, but 81 speed, 81 XL, 81 agility, bad jumping. Jesus. It is what it is. You need a backup tight end. Backup tight ends are usually really costly, so might as well draft one. Let's take a look at the team, though. Look at the draft class. So 76 overall for the wide receiver, 74 for the safety, and 70 for the middle linebacker. Obviously, these picks sucked, but these guys were pretty good overall, so even though they are normal, not terrible, right? Let's take a look at Leonard's ratings. 70 man catch, 75 catching. There's a lot to work with there. Christie, once again, super fast. Probably going to be raw as hell, though. 86 hit power, that's great. 72 block shed. Coverage isn't super great. Press sucks, but catching is good. He's actually a super sleeper. As far as a rebuild goes, though, not really crazy off the charts, great. But Roman Landry, kind of our red wine replacement. Not that he's even as close to his athletic, but way more potential. Obviously, he's literally the same overall as already. Star development trait, not that it matters because he's going to be the backup anyways. And then Newell, we'll take a look at his dev as well. Not that it matters because, once again, he's going to be a backup. But this guy is really good. 85 catching, 76 catching traffic, 87 spec. Route running's already 80 in the deep, 82 short, 78 medium. Does he actually end up taking over the job from Demis or Demas? I mean, who knows? But obviously, it's not an easy spot to have unless he's like, unless he's like a really good player, but it's not that great. Let's take a look at that edge rusher we were looking at because he was interesting, but ultimately we just didn't need him. 76 overall, of course, he's hidden. Super fast, 78 block shedding. For a finesse guy to have 72 block shedding is kind of crazy, but of course 78 finesse. Strength is pretty decent. Of course 79 is his number. We'll change that real quick for him because that is disgusting. Of course, I'm not going to worry about everyone in the league, but if I'm already here looking at his depth, it's all right. It's a little bit better. Superstar. Oof. Would have been nice, but once again, do we actually need him? We got so many backups that could start that we just don't have enough room, right? Robert Quinn, that guy. Might as well keep starting him. All right, look at this squad. Not an improvement, but once again, more depth. I suppose would have been nice to land yet another young lineman, but I suppose we did kind of get rid of the age around here. Nate Davis is now the oldest lineman we have at 27, which is obviously nothing as far as an NFL player goes, specifically a lineman. Cole Kmet, once again, maybe he goes a superstar if he plays well enough. David Montgomery, I'm surprised he hasn't gone a superstar yet. I don't know if we have to pay him or what happened. Did we already pay him maybe? Oh yeah, we paid him a 5-year 50-something, I thought. I can't remember actually, but he's decent. We have Mooney's going to be a 90 overall this year. This could be the year we at least make the playoffs, right? One would imagine. And, Edge is still a little suspect, still wondering what we're going to do there. But it seems like even if we had to start Gibson, we're at least we have a young or decently capable starter for every single person, every position. My favorite time of the year when I have to pay a bunch of great players. Kyler Gordon needs a contract. He is kind of like the Robin to Jalen's Batman. Very close Batman, though. So we're going to give him a 5-year 75. Not quite with Jalen got, but still really good. Brisker has been really silent in this one, but good enough. So he's going to get a 4-year 35, putting him at 30 as well. Robert Quinn, I mean, I'm just saying, dude. The guy's kind of been good, so we'll see what happens there. As far as Herbert goes, I don't know what his numbers are as a backup, but if he's even average, I'll pay him that 3-year 10, which he has been, I mean, that's not terrible. A lot of the times I see like 3.2 from good players, so I guess, I suppose, bring him back in. Tevin Jenkins, he's been pretty bad, to be honest, so I'm going to try to pay him literally as low as possible. Oh my god, the way he's built is so bad as well. What am I doing? A 4-year 31. I mean, once again, linemen get paid. They really do, but I mean, he really has been iffy. As far as Chris Barnes goes, 84 speed, 85 excel. I mean, he's decent, but his overall is kind of like, it's kind of a lie. I'll do it. I guess I'll do it. Of course, Eddie Jackson will be let go as he's going to regress really hard. Sorry, buddy. And everyone else is kind of backup level, so probably not going to re-sign them. If we beat the Packers, we have the division. Of course, we lose, but we still have the division. One last hurrah. It appears, unfortunately, that our boy Robert Quinn may be gone. Is it? It is Robert Quinn, and I mean, he's given us a lot. This man's given us a lot, but let's take a look at the season. Of course, Justin Fields with the numbers. I ran the Tampa Bay playbook the last 3 games because we were really struggling. Well, actually, maybe we weren't struggling. Maybe it was right here, actually, that I put it on. I don't remember, but it would probably explain why Fields' numbers are a little bit better than normal. But that Chargers playbook, it just wasn't doing it. I mean, it's a decent enough team that should be doing well. And once again, I felt like it was fair enough. You know, the numbers, a lot of rushing numbers for touchdowns. Montgomery's kind of regressing. Fields, the yards might be enough to get him to superstar. Touchdowns are looking a little, pretty good, but the picks are really high. Mooney, solid. Newell, really solid. Demas, I mean, really good numbers for everyone. Cole Kmet, probably not good enough for superstar, sadly. O-line was decent enough. Defensively, Will Anderson, dude. 21 sacks. Robert Quinn, 19.5. That's actually insane, dude. I don't even know what the title is going to be. It's going to be something with Will Anderson, because he's just been insane. But Robert Quinn also deserves to be in there, but you kind of have to highlight kind of Gordon and Brisker. I don't know. MVP goes to Patrick Mahomes. Looking at any other awards, Fields at 8. Defensive Player of the Year at number 2 and 3. Again, we do not get the Defensive Player of the Year award, which sucks. The rookie Leonard, number 3. I don't know what he did, but apparently he's Rookie of the Year. Quarterback Fields at 5, finally. Not Montgomery on the list. Newell at 5 and Mooney at 9. That touchdowns really matters, apparently. Nate Davis at 7. Where was Wirfs, actually? Falcons, interesting. That actually makes a lot of sense, because if he's chasing money, which, I mean, I probably would, to be honest, Will Anderson, Robert Quinn, good stuff. As far as linebacker goes, no. And no. It's kind of crazy to think. If you really think about it, like, don't get me wrong, they get a ton of money, so, like, cry into your $100 bills, but it is a weird occupation being a sports player, right? Because think about it. If you're, I mean, there are other jobs. It's kind of like an entrepreneur is probably like one of those things. But like as far as like a normal job, let's say you're a cashier, you're somebody that works as like a butcher or something. You're a part of a quote unquote winning formula, right? Because like you're making money for the business. It's you're not risking anything. But if you're playing in the NFL, you have to do your very best, despite knowing you're going to lose. Like, if you're playing for a team that just sucks, you have no quarterback, you guys have no offense, you guys are just getting destroyed, like some of those Lions teams or the Browns teams, you have to try your best to do better for you while you know you're going to lose. Like, how do you do that? Like, your morale has got to be, like, how does that work, Like, it's like I said, like, if you're even working, like, a minimum wage job at McDonald's, like, you're not on a losing effort, right? Like, your morale might not be great because of, like, lack of money, but as far as, like, you're doing your job for a I wouldn't say a product, but like you're in a winning situation technically, right? Like it's not like you're making the best food possible for a business that's failing, like it's kind of weird. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I just thought about that when you're a guy chasing the money rather than the ring, right? Everyone watching is like, what is he talking about? Of course, we have a 5 overall bump on the Vikings. Of course, we've seen Dalvin Cook was pretty good. We're hoping we're better, though, as really we're not looking that much better. 14-3, 21-3. Once again, we've run the Tampa playbook a lot, and we haven't always done super well. But, of course, we're doing well enough here. The big thing is this defense is elite. This defense is great. Justin Fields, 322 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a pick. We have a really good team, right? David Montgomery is one of the top running backs. Fields is good enough. Receivers, Cole Kmet's a great possession receiver. Demas is a great 6'3 guy. Mooney's fast. Newell is kind of like, a great route runner with great hands. We kind of have like it all, if you will. Offensive line is one of the better lines in the league. Miles Murphy's name finally comes back up. So Darius is still over there. Roquan with a sack. Will Anderson with a sack. Obviously, Robert Quinn with a sack. Cameron Brown with a pick. Who the hell is that guy? Who is he? Who is that guy? What the hell is that? But of course, first playoffs appearance, and okay, I guess we're not going to do that in some time, and we win. We're going to see a morale increase from Mr. Robert Quinn. At least to him, maybe for all players. Nice. The Panthers, once again, not going to consider them like a walk in the park, as they really can do some damage with Christian McCaffrey, as you can see with just those numbers, like 1,900 rushing yards, I believe. But yeah, Tyrann Mathieu as well. But yeah, I mean, not the toughest road so far. All right, Carolina, can they ride the coattails of Mr. Christian McCaffrey? Can we ride the tails of the defense? Because clearly our offense sure as hell ain't going to win us this damn game. 6 points. With our defense giving up 0. The old glory days of Chicago are back. Can they carry that team to the Super Bowl? We'll see. 21-13, and holding off is the defense. Just once again, offense. Apparently, the Tampa Bay playbook doesn't matter because look at this. Like, it's pretty bad, really bad numbers. Fields is just like. He's not elevating the way I thought he would, to be honest. I can't remember any of our other Bears rebuilds with Fields, but is this the worst he's been for us? Like, it just seems weird. Championship round, Cowboys, right? The Niners, another run-heavy team. With our defense being as good as it is, these powerhouse offenses are the best case scenario for us, right? All right, San Francisco. In theory, we should have a better time than going against, like the Panthers. Maybe not, actually. They have Trey Lance and Kittle and whatnot, but so far, looking okay. 20-14, not terrible. Still 20-14, 28-14, nice 2-point conversion. Injury, I didn't even think we had injuries on. 35-21. The Niners, kind of the us of last week, is they had opportunities upon opportunities. Just kind of didn't finish drives, but of course we put up enough points this week, finally showing up. Trey Lance and Fields, very similar-ish players. Rushing was awful. The offense in general just wasn't great. Fields wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It was good enough, obviously. Darius Slayton is on their team. Defense kind of failed their part as well, to be honest. Jalen Johnson with a pick. Jake Elliott got blocked. Jake Elliott's actually been really good for us, by the way. We have another boost in morale, Super Bowl bound. I wonder what that morale actually looks like. It's got to be absolutely nuts. Guess we'll take a look as we potentially look at some dev ups that we may have gotten. Of course, it's the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, as you would expect. Let's take a look real quick. Another last hurrah. Okay. Superstar development trait for Mr. Justin Fields. Defensively, not a single one, unfortunately, I believe. It doesn't look like one to me, but let's do another morale boost, I guess. My man's is juiced. Oh, well, that's not what it was. I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I'm out of here. That's all that was. Damn it. +3 to morale. What does it actually give him? So really good stuff. Does that, is that from Robert Quinn? Is that just from us winning? Because I thought, the morale, +4 for some of the linebackers who, I mean, surprisingly, superstar development trait since his rookie year. Hasn't really developed that quickly. Of course, an insane coverage guy, but block shedding's awful. We really don't have that good of a run defense, to be honest, because the highest run blocker we have as far as linebackers goes is probably Roquan at 81, but yeah, of course, Nick Jarrett and Hand are very good at run blocking, so run block shedding, if you will. But, you know, good players, obviously. A good team. Is it good enough to win the Super Bowl, though? Actually, I want to see Robert Quinn real quick to see what his morale is, because it says retire after the Super Bowl. I think it literally happens right after it's done, right? Like, it doesn't even wait for the next week. But Robert Quinn, 86 finesse, 85 power, 79 block shed. I mean, he's really not that great, but he's played absolutely outstandingly. This would be a perfect way to end the rebuild, but if we're going to be honest, I don't know. Obviously, if you're looking at the time stamp, you're probably like, oh, well, it's clear cut. It's over. End of the game against the toughest team to beat in Sim. Literally the most broken playbooks there are. And, of course, on top of it, a team that has got some pretty good players like Mahomes and Kelsey and whatnot, but yeah, a team that is absolutely riding the coattails of that that playbook scheme. That the playbooks are just busted. Of course, 20-14, not a bad finish here. 21-23 now, and the defense maybe scores a touchdown. I'm not sure what happened there, but slowing down the sim a little bit, they are going to be leading by only one with a minute left. And honestly, the team might be able to do it on their own, but once again, you can't trust them to do it because the sim is so broken where they just let the clock just die. This play also sucks. We're going to go with this play action, which is good enough if you get blocks, which maybe we did. Fields gets the completion. The way the crowd was, it was like he didn't get it. Of course, Fields, the touchdowns are good, not throwing picks, but the yards, the incompletions, really not great, to be honest, but looking for potentially the dagger here. Another good throw by Fields. Cole Kmet down to the 10. Timeout, I guess. I mean, you kind of want to just get the touchdown if you can. I don't know if any Bears fan is ever going to be, super happy sitting there and with a field goal to win a Super Bowl. And who else but Mooney? Touchdown, Mooney! Bears are on top, but it's the Chiefs. You just never know. Of course, the two-point conversion would mean a lot for them if they were to return it, but at the same time, it would mean a decent bit for us as well. And that's a little bit of a late read, and Demas isn't going to get it, but it's okay. It's not a pick six. That's what matters most. Then I will sim it. I don't know what's going to happen here, but do they win? We win! There you go. I don't know why it was a one player. That's why I thought it was, because I would figure if you were to somehow get a touchdown from that field, it would take at least like 10 to 11 seconds, and then there is the runoff if you do the kickoff. So I thought maybe they got the win, but they didn't. I thought maybe we were at least another year away and potentially not going to win one at all, but we did. David Montgomery, solid. Fields, okay. I mean, that was a good performance for him, but outside of this game, he was actually really bad. Receivers were really good throughout this thing. Blocking was okay, but obviously, as you would expect with a Bears rebuild, it's all about the defense, baby. Defense wins championships, and they proved it here yet again, providing the boost the offense needed, slowing down the other side. I mean, the Chiefs have scored 40 against a lot of our rebuild teams at will. Obviously, we had to drive down the field on our own to win it there, but if you've seen it, I mean, they got a 15, 20-yard play first time. It's just they don't manage the clock well. You have 3 timeouts with a minute left, and you lose 30 seconds after one completion? Like, what is that? Like, this just doesn't make any sense. Of course, like we said, defense wins championships, forcing Mahomes to 3 interceptions. Of course, Montgomery pretty decent. Rushing, not really that big of a deal for anyone else. Travis Kelce, decent numbers. No one really played too well on our side. Defensively, 2 interceptions. Jalen's a god. Sack totals really weren't that great for us, but 2 picks for Jalen. And then Cameron Brown again. This man's a god. Where did he come from? How is it okay, we take those, but I don't know who this guy is, but he's apparently the greatest ever. Of course, here he is, Robert Quinn, the Super Bowl champion, going off with a bang. killed it for us. Absolutely killed it. First year was a little iffy. I think he had like 8 sacks, but after that, crushed it with like almost 20 a season. Let's take a look at some of the players that, we're obviously wanting to look at. Darnell Mooney, short route sucks, which I would definitely love to, develop him a little bit more for that. Be able to, instead of just using that shot power with the speed, throw it underneath and let him make a play with it. Of course, the wide receiver number 2, 6'3", no short route yet again, but great catching and decent enough speed, floaty hair as well. Newell had a really good rookie year and maybe was a boost we needed. 3 great wide receivers that are impossible to cover is obviously better than 2. Cole Kmet's decent, but he's not one of those guys that you have to double team, David Montgomery, really good running back, obviously built very strangely, right? Like he's got good juke move and spin, but the speed isn't crazy great. Trucking's just good enough. O-line, I don't really think there's anyone here that matters to develop. I mean, I guess Tevin Jenkins, because he was like a real-life, pick of theirs. Once again, we looked at him. Wasn't great. Cole Kmet, though, not having bad years, but really never developed fully. Even his catching's kind of iffy. He's a decent route runner, but, yeah, I mean, he's okay. He's all right. And then on defense, obviously, Roquan Smith, the kind of leader of this defense. Robert Quinn is great, but leader of this defense, Roquan Smith, absolutely insane in coverage. Decent block shed. Chris Barnes was a nice little addition for us, helped shore up that linebacking group. Bad block shedding, but decent coverage. Not a bad trade-off. And then, of course, we know Trenton Simpson is a god coverage guy as well, but really bad block shedding, like super bad. Brisker, I don't remember how actually good he is. I just know his overall is a little low. Yeah, 85 zone. I mean, he really is like the super, super poor man's Cam Chancellor. Kyler Gordon's going to be a god man coverage guy. 90 man coverage, 75 zone. Great press. Great press man corner for us. Jalen Johnson, obviously, very good stuff. 2 interceptions in the Super Bowl. Insane zone coverage. I think the game just kind of upgrades based on, I don't know when we're looking at Trevis Gibson, but just based on what their highest rating is at the time. Deshaun Hand, a nice little surprise. 88 block shed. I mean, who would have thought he could develop into a guy still? A normal development trait, 75 overall, 25, 26 years old. Nick Jarrett, a guy that really never just did much, but maybe his tackles for a loss are good. I almost never pay attention to that. And then Will Anderson, absolute god. I mean, just so good as far as his abilities go. Secure tackler, unstoppable force, and I guess edge threat would be fair technically, even though it would be busted. And then Eddie Jackson, obviously, really never played well. He had a chance still to become a super long-term player if he got superstar, maybe even X Factor, but just never really had a great season. And it just kind of seems like that's almost what's happening in real life. 2018, absolutely nuts season, and then he's just been getting worse and worse as the years go on. But beside the point, the Bears are Super Bowl champions of the world, beating an almost 6,000-yard regular season Patrick Mahomes, forcing him into 3 interceptions, which would have been 25% of his regular season total in one game. The Bears' defense is back. The monsters of the Midway are once again monstering. I don't know. If you guys enjoyed this one, maybe leave a like, maybe subscribe if you're new. If you're not new, really appreciate your continued support. No upload on the main channel tomorrow, maybe on the second channel, PKR Plays. It'll be maybe GTA. We're getting close to beating San Andreas on the channel. And then, follow me on Twitter, JeromepkR. I don't know if I mentioned that. And then, of course, Saturday would be multiple uploads. Probably an experiment video. Can't remember. I had an idea that I wanted to do. And then Nighthawks, and then some sort of rebuild again on Sunday, most likely. But that's pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed, like I said, do all those things. If you have a suggestion for a rebuild in the future, maybe there's a team that I didn't do that had a decent draft class, or they had some moves that you want to see what would happen in a rebuild, let me know by letting me know in the comment section below. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys come back for next video. But until next video, see ya!